Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jeanelle Slade.
And I'm Jay Cohn. With Montana's primary election now in the rearview mirror, the general election is just 153 days away.
Tuesday's primary had a little bit of everything, from neck-and-neck races to blowouts, surprise results, and near record-setting turnout.
Now here in Yellowstone County, the turnout for yesterday's primary came close to an all-time record for an off-presidential year. 43%
of Yellowstone County's 96,000 registered voters cast ballots Tuesday, slightly higher than the statewide turnout of 41%. Now, perhaps the most startling takeaway from Tuesday's voting, the lack of people who actually went to the polls to vote. Elections Administrator Brett Rutherford tells us only 1,629 people voted at the county's 14 polling places Tuesday. Just 1.7% of registered voters.
Also out of the ordinary this year, the amount of people who chose to drop off their absentee ballots in person rather than mailing them in. Rutherford estimates that 80% of the ballots that were turned in at the courthouse yesterday were actually delivered in person.
Statewide voter turnout also much higher than typical midterm elections, which added some delays in reporting results.
MTN's Jonathan Amberian tonight has more on that from Helena.
Secretary of State Corey Stapleton's office says more than 280,000 Montana voters cast ballots in Tuesday's primary election. That would be the most votes ever cast in the state for a midterm primary. Voter turnout was around 41%, the highest in a midterm primary since 1994.
It bodes well for the fall that there's going to be interest in all sorts of the races, not just the federal races, but the legislative races drew lots of interest too.
More than 70% of voters cast absentee ballots, meaning lines at the polling places were relatively short in most places. Stapleton says overall, Election Day voting ran smoothly.
What we do here is look for big problems, and we didn't have them. So we didn't have any equipment failures, we didn't have ballots that didn't feed into the systems, and so we were able to avoid some of the pitfalls from the past.
Some people did notice delays in the results reported on the Secretary of State's website. Some counties, including Lewis and Clark, had issues with the automated system used to upload their results to the site. Stapleton asked the public to be patient when looking for the vote totals.
You don't want to sacrifice doing things really, really well by doing them quickly, and so we don't want to put pressure on clerks to get the information updated any quicker than they're ready to, because then people make mistakes.
In Helena, Jonathan Amberian, MTN News.
Thank you, Jonathan. The provisional ballots will be counted next week.
After that, Stapleton expects several recounts will be necessary.
President Trump has signed into law a sweeping change in how American veterans receive health care. The VA Missions Act passed both the House and Senate last week in a rare bipartisan vote. Montana Senator John Tester co-authored the Senate version of the bill and today offered this statement, quote, "Montana veterans deserve more than a thank you. They deserve a healthcare system that works for them, whether it's at a VA clinic or a local community doctor." The biggest change is a new option for veterans to seek care from a private doctor outside the VA system. Senator Tester was not invited to the White House signing ceremony today, but Senator Steve Daines was there, and he spoke about the bill on the Senate floor earlier.
The problems plaguing the VA aren't just occasional news stories. They are the daily reality for Montana veterans. Enough is enough.
The VA currently serves as many as 9 million veterans across America. This bill also expands the VA caregiver program for families of disabled veterans.
Today marks the 74th anniversary of World War II's pivotal D-Day invasion. On June 6, 1944, Allied forces stormed the beaches at Normandy to push into Europe, a key turning point against Nazi troops. Now, historians call D-Day the beginning of the end of the war. Europe had been at war for nearly half a decade, with the U.S. in the fight for 2.5 years. Now, the war would continue for another year. D-Day remains the largest amphibious invasion in history. Upwards of 160,000 troops invaded Europe, more than half of them Americans. It's estimated that roughly 10,000 Allied troops were killed, wounded, or went missing in action in just one day. Locally, the importance of the D-Day invasion may not have been completely understood.
It was kind of seen as another step that was taken of what's going to be quite a moment, a large event, right, in American history. It's so important to look at these momentous occasions and seeing how they not only impacted us afterwards, but what kind of was the lead up that resulted in this culmination, right, this huge day of D-Day.
The Western Heritage Center's Elizabeth DeGrenier says Billings was involved with the war effort with the building of tank tow trucks. There was also a POW camp that was located near the sugar factory on the city's south side.
On to the weather scene tonight. Bob McGuire joining us here on set. And Bob, some nasty weather down in the state of Wyoming. Yeah. We have the video to prove it.
Let me show you what everybody in southern Wyoming was talking about today. Let's roll the video. Take a look at this. Yeah, that's just a big old tornado right there on the ground. This is east of Laramie, and this is between Laramie and, I believe, Rock River. And they actually had to close the interstate, or Highway 30, I think, as the tornado was making its way across that thing. What an impressive day they've had down there. Meanwhile, let me show you up here in northern Wyoming, we had a lot of severe thunderstorms in the Bighorn Basin as well. Also some scattered showers and thunderstorms. And even now, over by Miles City, that whole storm has made its way up into Custer County, where we're reporting dime-sized hail in that area. So we're looking at some big thunderstorms continuing to make their way into Montana. But as the night goes on, those showers and storms are starting to die down a little bit. We'll have more in your forecast coming up in a few more minutes.
All right, thanks so much, Bob. Well, 2 Roundup residents now identified as among 3 people killed in a head-on crash south of Grass Range. The accident happened around 5:30 Tuesday evening on U.S. Highway 87. 29-year-old Chelsea Simpson and 24-year-old Gage Hall, both of Roundup, died in that crash. The identity of a 3rd victim, a male, has not yet been released. The Montana Highway Patrol says an SUV traveling south attempted to change lanes to pass another vehicle and slammed into another SUV head-on.
The Billings Police Department recently welcomed 2 new 4-legged officers into its ranks. Tonight, Q2's Connor Pregetzer shows us what the new recruits look like in action.
The Billings Police Force has officially introduced 2 new dogs into its K9 unit. On Wednesday, we officially got to meet Susan and Dutch and watch them spring into action.
Billings Police K9, come out now! Set my dog and you won't be bit! Oh yeah!
Susan and Dutch join Kuko and Cuff to form BPD's K9 unit. K9 Officer David Firebaugh says that the dogs allow for a more efficient use of manpower and reduce the risk to human officers in certain scenarios.
So rather than taking a beat call or a beat car away from maybe responding to an accident or investigating a lost child or fake dollar bills being passed or some other patrol function, I now have the opportunity to take and say, hey, I'll go collect that stuff. Violent Offender Task Force, they have a house contained and they have an offender inside that's known, but he's hiding from them. We can respond to that call for service, and as they're searching that house, we can use the dog to help locate or apprehend that person rather than having the officers take and go inside there potentially and get hurt. Sometimes just the mere presence alone is enough for people to say, no, I don't want to get bit by a dog today. I'll take and do what the nice police officers are asking me to do.
He also notes the increased use of the dogs in recent years.
We're using the dogs with much greater frequency, I would say, than in years past, to take and do all kinds of things from search and rescue to cadaver recovery to finding drugs. We talked about one of the new ones is now electronic devices for the child pornographers and the human traffickers. They're using them on the border to take and find people that are being smuggled in. They'll search for the human odor of people in containers, all that type of stuff.
Ultimately, he believes the dogs better the police force and the communities that they serve.
But that's our responsibility, is to show that we're worthy of that asset, your time, your money, your vote, to take and do that. If we can demonstrate that we'll do good work with what you provide for us, yeah, I'd like to see more so that we can give more back.
In Billings, Connor Pregetzer, MTN News.
Thanks, Connor. Now we're told that both Susan and Dutch can expect to have police careers that span as long as 6 years.
Coming up on tonight's 10 o'clock news, environmental activists say the EPA is fighting dirty when it comes to cleaning up Superfund sites.
Plus, sheep stripping down in Hawaii for summer, and Montana has a hand in it. Find out how.
And later in sports, we're staring down an all-star weekend in Billings. Scott hears from your football and basketball standouts.
You're watching MTN News with Jay Cohn. and Jeanelle Slade. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Green. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.